Hello dear friends, welcome to Ben Academy. In this YouTube channel, you can find useful tips and tricks of different softwares. And in this video, I want to teach you a trick in Photoshop that is really useful and it can be helpful in your work with other softwares. Let's go to the file and I will describe the situation and the solution. Here, there is a diagram like this. We have a bar diagram, a column diagram, and I want to apply hatch or pattern in a portion of some bars, not to hold the bar and not to all the bars. I mean, if you want to apply hatch to hold the columns, hold the bars for all of them, it's easy to be done in Excel or another software to create a diagram. But if you want to apply hatch to only suppose half of the bars, half of the height of the bar, it again can be done in Excel by defining two set of data, two series, and you can do this easily. But if you want to apply hatch only to first, third, and suppose sixth bar of this diagram for a portion of those bars, it's difficult to be done in Excel and only divide specific bars into 2 or 3 categories. It's really difficult, and the easiest way is to be done in Photoshop or another softwares to edit the photo directly instead of changing the data. So I want to teach you how to create a pattern, and this method is also useful for applying a context for a picture, a natural picture. You want to add a pattern for suppose for sky, for ground, for everywhere, and you can do this method. You can apply this method for every kind of picture that's pattern is required. So first, I should draw a pattern in another separate file and then define a pattern. For this purpose, I should first create a new file, and let's create it with 50 to 50 pixel and 300 pixel per inch. It's okay. It's small enough to create the smallest pattern that can be repeated many times. To define a pattern, the trick is to draw the simplest and smallest portion of the pattern you can define. I mean, if you want to create too many dots, it's only sufficient to create one dot in the center of this file to define a pattern. It's not required to apply too many dots to finally create a dot pattern. Let's show you what's my meaning. If you want to, suppose I want to create a dot with a square shape, I will draw first a square here, and I will fill it with a color. You can apply it every different color you want. I want to now create the simplest pattern with a black color. Yeah, it's a square in the middle of the pattern, but if you want to make it transparent, you should remove the white part of this image. So let me to make it a layer first. Layer via copy. In this way, you can see that a new layer is created here, layer 1, and you can easily delete the background. Yes, and you can see that it's now without background, and it will be transparent, and it can be saved as a PNG file, and you can see that only black square is visible in the image. Now I want to create a pattern. We can go to the edit menu. This item for all the versions of Photoshop is available like this, and you can do this for every different type of versions of Photoshop other than this old version I'm working with. Okay, let's do it with define pattern. You can write something like, let's say dots. It's kind of dot. Okay, and now if you want to add a pattern, for example, for this part of this bar, for example, this amount, you should go to layer, new fill layer, and pattern. And now you can write a name for layer of pattern. I will write dots on second bar, for example. The other options are related to the mood of layer and opacity that are common for different layers, and we cannot focus on the other unimportant parts of this job. And you can now choose the recent pattern that I've created. Automatically, the last pattern is selected by Photoshop, but you can find the other patterns you have created previously or other default patterns of Photoshop. And you can apply a scale here. If you make it smaller, you can see that it's going to be like too many dots inside this area, and you can also move it and choose the best item. Suppose you want to make all the dots visible and you don't want to make it below the lines around the bar, and by this you can apply a simple dots on this bar. You can make it linked to a layer or make it unlinked with layer, and by applying, you can see after zooming to the bar, you can see that it's dotted with square pattern we defined. The quality of the dots are now a little blurred because the scale and the size of the pattern we defined were not suitable for this specific image. You should try with smaller image, and in that way, if you choose 100% scale, it will not be blurred. You can try it, and we can show you here. If you define something like, instead of 50, this time we say 10 or even less, let's say 8 pixel to 8 pixel, 300 pixel per inch. It's very small. And if you define a small dot in the center of this area and fill it with a black color, or let's this time fill with a another color, we can change the foreground or background and apply, or like this time as a gray, it's okay. Layer via copy and delete the background to make it transparent and define pattern. We can say gray dots, okay. But maybe the color I chose was not suitable here. Let's make it apply pattern in a white area to make it visible. And if you fill the layer with a pattern, I recently defined like this, gray dot, okay. You can see that now 100% of the squares are more visible than the previous one. So you should try different ways. You should make correction after seeing the result. And now if I make it a bit smaller, you can see that it's again going to be blurred. So it's better to define dots, define pattern according to your file. And in some cases, the previously defined patterns cannot be used in your file. You can also define every kind of pattern you want. Suppose this time I want to define a pattern like a plus. Let's do it. Again, let's choose the same dimensions. It was much better. Okay, make it bigger. And then draw a cross in the middle of this area like this. Fill with black color again. Make it a layer. You can duplicate it and rotate it, or you can draw it again. After duplication, you can select it with free transform and rotate it with 90 degree, and okay. Now if you remove the background, you will see a plus in a transparent background like this. So after defining the pattern, let's say cross, okay, or plus, and applying the pattern this time on another bar of this diagram, and fill it with new pattern I've defined, like this. Let's say this name is okay. You can see it's another pattern that is defined. You can also move it like this and choose the best option in your mind. You can also scale it with smaller or bigger, but this is visible and it seems good. This size of pattern that I've defined for this bar seems to be good, so it's okay. You can also make some inclined lines and define a pattern for this. For this purpose, I've done it before. Let's show you. It's inclined lines like this. More important than drawing the lines is to adjusting the lines. So you need to adjust them to make sure the final result of the hatch is the same you want. If you move them a little bit like this, sorry, this one, if you move it, finally you will see that the pattern is not suitably defined. I'll show you. I want to make a pattern, fill it with a pattern. So in layer, new fill layer, and pattern again. Now, if I chose this, you will see that it's not true. It's not defined in a proper way, but I've defined it before, and you can see after adjusting it, and you can try many times to finally find the best position of these lines. To find the best position of these lines and also these small lines, you need to try and error and find a best option for defining the pattern. So every single shape can be used for a pattern. You can also draw a leaf of a tree, and you can fill an area with those leaves too many leaves actually. So you can do everything you want, not only drawing shape. You can apply pattern with a face, with a tree, with every object you want. So it's a common method for every kind of picture you want to apply a pattern for. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check other videos in our page. See you in the next videos.